$5,000.
It's composite. It lasts like 30 years. It basically pays for itself.
I'm going to need to sit with that number for a minute. I'm 38, I own a house, and I work from home, which mostly means I eat lunch at my desk and forget to take the trash out until I hear the truck already turning onto the next block. My partner lives here with me, has for a few years now. But his name isn't on anything, because it can't be yet. We're working on it. The paperwork moves the way paperwork moves. It was a Thursday in March, I think, or maybe late February. The kind of week where the days blur because the weather can't make up its mind. There was a windstorm the night before, not a serious one, just that specific kind of suburban gusting that knocks a recycling bin into the street and makes the dog press himself against the couch cushions like he's dissolving. I woke up, made coffee, noticed through the kitchen window that one of the fence panels along the left side of the yard was leaning at an angle that it definitely wasn't leaning at before. I looked at it for maybe 4 seconds, clocked it as a problem, and then sat down at my desk because I had a call at 8.
Can you just have him come out for a sec? It'll be easier to look at it together.
Yeah, I'll let him know.
It's not a big thing. I just want to get eyes on it before it gets worse.
Sure, he can go out.
I mean, it looks like it's mostly on your side, but I don't want to assume anything.
By 9, a text came in from my neighbour. Carol, 41, recently between jobs. Her house mirrors mine almost exactly on the other side of that fence line. And it said, essentially, can you send your husband out so we can talk about this? Not husband, partner, but close enough that I knew who she meant. I was on a call with my camera off and my mic muted at that point, so I read it, put the phone face down, and then picked it back up and read it again. I was the one on the mortgage. I was the one who had been on the mortgage for 6 years. And there was something about the phrasing, the automatic assumption that the man in my house was the correct first point of contact for a structural issue with my property, that I noticed and then set aside, the way you do when you decide it's probably not worth the shape of the conversation it would start.
I've got some pallets in the back. I can at least prop it so it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that works for now. That's fine.
Carol said to just keep it stable until she's back.
When does she get back?
Few weeks maybe. She's not totally sure yet.
Okay. He went outside. I could hear them talking through my window, or not talking exactly, more like the cadence of two people being careful with each other. Carol left for vacation about 4 days after the fence came down, which I found out from her partner, Marcus. 40, quiet, the kind of neighbour you wave at and have exactly 0 extended conversations with. Who mentioned it while he was helping prop the leaning panel back with a couple of pallets he'd dragged over from somewhere. I was on a call when that happened too, but muted, so I could hear the drill going through my window, this steady, pulsing whine every 40 seconds or so. Marcus did most of the work. My partner held one side.
I really think if we're doing this, we should do it right, you know?
What are you thinking in terms of material?
Composite, honestly. I already have it along the back, and it just holds up so much better.
Have you gotten any numbers yet?
I'm looking into it. I have someone I've used before, so it should be pretty straightforward.
Okay, send me whatever you get and we can talk through it. The texts from Carol started about a day after she landed wherever she was going, and they came in with the kind of frequency that told me she'd been thinking about this for a while. She said she didn't want to just patch it, that the whole line was aging and this was probably a good time to do it right. Then she said she was thinking composite. Not wood, not vinyl, composite. And specifically, she mentioned, the same product already installed along the back of her yard, the one she'd put in herself 2 years ago. I knew the fence she was talking about. It was nice. It was very nice. It was the kind of fence that looks deliberate, the kind where you can tell someone made a choice. $5,000.
It's composite. It lasts like 30 years. It basically pays for itself.
I'm going to need to sit with that number for a minute.
I mean, we don't have to decide anything right now.
Right. I looked up the product on my phone that evening while I was half watching something, zoomed in on the price the way you do when you think maybe you're misreading it, and then zoomed in again. For 10 panels, the equivalent of what ran along our shared line, the number on the Home Depot page came out to just over $5,000. I screenshot pinched the number to be sure it wasn't a display issue on my browser. It wasn't. I put the phone on the charger and went to bed because there wasn't anything to do with that number at 11 at night except let it sit. Carol sent what she described as a contractor summary maybe 3 days after that, attached as a photo rather than a document. It was a screenshot of something, cropped pretty tightly, the kind of crop that takes out the header and the footer and most of the identifying information, with a materials line and a labor estimate in the middle. The materials line listed composite posts, a specific quantity, a specific price, $1,333. And then I looked at the bottom of the image, which wasn't quite as cropped as the rest of it, and there was a line that said something like, "Cancel your order," and below that, a name under what looked like a pickup contact field. The posts, if I was reading the image right, were already bought, before any number had been discussed between us, before I'd agreed to anything, before the word split had even technically come up. I set the phone down on the counter and went and poured a glass of water and stood at the sink looking at the backyard, at the pallets and the leaning panel and the camera mounted on the corner of my eave that catches that whole side of the yard when I check the feed. I spent part of a Sunday looking up the shared fence statutes for my county. The standard for a shared boundary replacement is functional equivalence to what existed, which in this case was wood, and liability splits along that line, not along whatever one party has decided they'd prefer. By the math I could follow, my half of a reasonable wood replacement came to somewhere around $430. Carol's last message was still sitting unread, adjacent on my phone. I'd opened it. I just hadn't responded. My partner asked me last night whether I'd heard anything more from her, and I said not really. And then we talked about something else, and I made dinner, and that was the evening. The camera is still on the corner of the eave. The pallets are still out there. The fence is still leaning slightly, but it's holding.